Hey guys, Jacob Wheeler here with my boy MDJ. We just got done with stage 2 of the Bass Pro Tour here on Lake Conroe. Both of us missed the cut. Unfortunately.
Man.
Hey, Conroe got the best of us. Got to tip our hat off to Conroe.
Yeah, good job, Conroe.
You don't mess us all up.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Golly.
What do you think about this lake? I mean, obviously it's a big fish lake, but you know it was tough to get bites this week.
Yeah, it's a different place, man. You know, for us it's even more difficult because you know we can't put in much practice. Day and a half of practice, pretty big fishery. I didn't get opportunity to get here to pre-practice, so it was more or less a day and a half and go.
Yeah.
You know, it's a renowned fishery for big fish. I never saw one. Biggest fish I caught between practice and the tournament was a 2.7. So
yeah,
go figure.
I mean, dude, for practice overall, it was pretty tough too because we had 2 really cold days.
Yeah.
Right before practice started, we had a warm week just
Yep.
to sort of set this up. Really warm week the week prior to.
Yep.
So I assume some fish probably are going to be moving up, spawning, and then all of a sudden 2 days right before practice starts, 30 degree, like 30, high 30s, 40s, sleeting rain.
Yeah,
some little bit actually up in northern Texas, a little bit of ice.
Yep.
So it was freezing, and so we got out there not knowing what to expect,
Right.
and it was tough on me. Now personally, I had we talk about me. I had one bite. And by like 5 o'clock on the first day of practice, and you know, so that was something that like I was freaking out. And it swirled at my spinnerbait. That was the only bite I had. Brody was in the boat.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, I had one bite.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible. Then later in that afternoon, I got on a little bit of a bite of that buzz bait, and that right there, you know, was the ticket. It drew me in.
Yeah.
Anytime I could throw a buzz bait, had a couple bites, water 55, 56 degrees.
See, I never even thought to throw top water. No, I mean, water temp was, 53, 54, but we had that hard cold front come through the first day of our tournament for Group B. We fished the second day. And I mean, we fished the second day. It was like 36 at takeoff. So top water's not even in my mind. 53 degree water plus 36 degree. I'm like, I'm not even throwing it.
I think the biggest thing, and for me, like, you know, when I've seen all over the country is like when you have a warm spell.
Yep.
And then it gets cold.
Yep.
Or if you have a cold spell and then it just starts to warm up, like when it goes back to warming up again,
right,
the fish start acting right again. Like so, like late that night, it started to warm. It slicked off a little bit.
Yep.
I started throwing that buzzbait around and had a couple of really good bites. And so I'm thinking, man, you know, this might transpire through the event.
For sure.
And you know, sometimes your dang strength becomes your weakness because that's what you fall back on when it's tough.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and you end up doing it and doing it and trying it and pushing it and it never happens.
Yeah, because it's hard to get a bite on anything else. Like what, you're gonna throw some bait, like some bait you're not confident in.
That's right.
You're gonna throw your confidence bait, especially if you had some bites in practice. So sometimes you get caught up with practice, and I think that's sort of for me overall. That's what what happened. I didn't have a great practice. Had like 12 bites.
Yeah.
2 days of practice, but and had some bites on a buzz bait, spinner bait, swim jig. But I mean, overall, how was practice for you? I mean, we haven't talked about it.
It was tough, man. I mean, I think that was the general consensus across the board. Tough practice. I mean, I think the first day of practice I had 4 bites. Second day of practice I had 4 bites. But it wasn't. Those bites weren't bites where I felt like, okay, I can pull into this area and I'm going to catch multiple fish. It was one of those deals where I pull in an area, I fish my butt off, and then all of a sudden you come to one lay down tree, super obvious piece of cover. Well, you flip over to the tree, boom, you get a bite, and it's like, oh, okay. But there's no more trees to continue to flip. And so is that a good area, or was that just one random fish on a tree? So,
that's tough.
That's what I was faced with, man. And had a couple flip bites, and then I caught a few on a 1/4 ounce rattle trap in some stump flats.
We see them baits, all right.
You
actually got the baits for y'all.
Got some baits for y'all.
Hey, we appreciate everybody commenting too, because like all these like constructive comments that we have, we're trying to give you guys a different look and show you guys something different. And so some of you said it would be awesome to add the baits. We have a lot of the baits that we caught them on right here. And so Mark, show us some of the baits that you actually caught them on in the tournament.
This is something that I've talked about for years and I preach about, and that's removing the back hook on a rattle trap when fishing around heavy cover. In this particular case, we're talking stumps. If you leave the back hook on, you're going to constantly get snagged. So what I do is I upsize the front hook. This is a 1/4 ounce Bill Lewis rattle trap. As I drop it on the floor, I upsize the front hook so they come stock with number 6s. I'll take a stock hook off. I'll put a number 4 owner ST36 hook in the front right here. And now this bait is virtually weedless in those stumps, and I can fish it in and around stumps where they're fish are commonly seeing jigs, they're commonly seeing crankbaits, they're commonly seeing topwaters. Rarely do they see a rattle trap in that scenario.
Yeah,
and so that's why I love doing that. Super shallow. We're talking foot and a half, keeping that rod at about a 11 o'clock, up in the air, and just reeling it nice and winding it like this. And every time I tap a stump, I just give it a little, and as soon as you come over the top, whoo, you can almost see them. They just roll on it. So that's a cool little way. I caught most of my fish this week doing that. So didn't have a great tournament, so it's not like I knocked it out of the park, but this will get you a few extra bites when you're out messing around.
So you ended up, would you end up
27th in our group.
So that so like sort of giving you guys a rundown of how that ends up working. We both didn't make the cut. So there's basically like a batter's like average, or like a batting average, sort of like you see in baseball. So you basically you're up against the field. So how good your field catches them. So basically I end up 31st in my group. That doesn't mean I get 31st place. That means I have to go up against the 31st place guy in the other group, and I'll end up being a little bit lower, obviously, than that. So
because the weights were higher in the other group.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah.
And so I'll probably lose. I'll lose the tiebreaker. Then of how the whole field caught him. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Because if you have a good day, like say we had a cold front day, it won't be the higher weights. It'll ultimately become the weights that like against your group. So say you caught 18 pounds, right?
Yep.
Total, and another guy caught 18 pounds total for his group. If they caught him better in that group against his group, how well did he do in the whole range of it at all?
Right. He'll get that point.
He'll get the point.
Sure.
So like the guy who had the tougher group had 18 pounds. He's going to get
he's going to get the lesser points.
No, he's going to get the more points.
Excuse me. He's going to get
absolutely.
The up point. Yes.
So anyway, like going through practice, we had a tough practice. You caught a few on the trap. You caught a few on a couple of different other baits. What was the other big player for you?
So late in the day, this is really the only thing I caught him on was a trap, and then this came into play late in the day. So I was trapping around, catching a few late in the day. The water temperature went from like mid 50s to like low 60s really quick. And as I'm fishing through this area, I start noticing some lily pads. Now, in these stump flats, obviously, anytime you see something different, in this case lily pads, that's super high percentage. And so I started swimming this jig around with this trailer right here, and this is a Z-Man's Turbo Crawl. I love this thing, man. Super strong. I put on one of these for the whole day, okay? A little super glue on this, not coming off. And so I started swimming this jig around those shallow, and I'm talking, when I say shallow, 10, 12, 13 inches of water at the most. Swimming this jig around those pads, and they're coming up and eating it like top water. But the problem is I got like an hour and a half. So in the last period, in the last hour, I caught 5 bass. Dang. Quick, boom, boom, boom.
I heard you go to the score tracker. I was like, dang, bro.
Man,
where are you coming from?
I stumbled up on that little bite, man, and just rolled with it, So that was really it for me. The 2 baits that caught the majority of my fish, really all of them. Let's see, did I catch it? I flipped one on a turbo crawl in the tournament, just one. But I think I caught 4 on day 2 on this, and everything else come on that trap.
Dang, that's nuts. So like for me, like overall, day number 1, I had a pretty tough one. I was in 37th or 38th, caught, and what really got me.
Top water. This dude loves top water.
When them buzzbait bites gets going, I'm just like, throw it all out the window. I'm throwing this right here.
Yeah.
And so what I had is, I had the Accent Signature Series buzzbait that I throw all the time. These are anodized blades, gold blades. They actually dip them. It's a special process they go through, so they squeal a little bit more. So if you guys are looking for a pretty cool buzzbait, this one's pretty awesome.
That's the one I throw. It's a good one.
Yeah, and then you have on the back, I had my old school, hammer crawl. My old school hammer crawl. I'm with Guggen Baits, but still have a lot of stuff from G and LaRue. They're a great company. Yep. I was throwing their hammer crawl. So ultimately, in the first day, I tried to make this work.
Yeah.
I was fishing around a lot of sticks, fishing around a lot of brush, and I spent a lot of time trying to make this work because I knew if I could get them bites.
I'm still dumbfounded you throwing, bro. I was so cold that morning, so cold, and you out here throwing top water. Unreal.
Hey, I mean, I wasn't doing it as much in the morning. I actually caught one on a chatterbait that morning.
Okay.
But it was just like once it warmed up later in the day.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my time trying to get this figured out, and the wind blew a little bit. And I had 4 bites on a buzzbait that day. I lost about a 4-pounder, lost about a 2.5-pounder, and then I had about a 5-pounder blow it out of the water. You know, and that was what I was getting in practice. They were big fish.
Yeah.
You know, they were big ones. So like I felt like if I kept that bait in my hand, I was gonna get out and, you know, have some good weight.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
quality. It was gonna be the opposite. It was gonna be all about the quality bites. I wasn't gonna get a lot of bites, but the bites I was gonna get were gonna be big.
Gonna be good ones.
And the second day, for me, it was, you know, warmer. That morning we had a warmer day. The second day.
Yeah, we did.
So I ended up, you know, starting out with a buzzbait first, but then I ended up catching my first good one. They started blowing up on shad in the sticks, and I'm like, I got you.
Telling on themselves.
And I caught my first good one. Exactly right. I caught my first good one. I thought, I was like, there ain't no way they're a bass. First good one on the accent spinnerbait, you know, big number 5 Colorado. And one thing that I did, I have a Storm 360 coastal swim bait. This is called a Largo shad. And what this is I cut the belly out from him.
Nice.
So that way, you know, you get a little bit more bite.
Yep.
It's one thing about it is you cut that belly out, and then you have a little bit more bite on your, you know, on that bait.
That's a good little
you know,
tip.
you don't have as much plastic for them to grab.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's pretty slick.
See what I'm saying?
Like that, yeah.
And that's something actually my buddy Whitney told me. He's like, man, you just cut the belly out.
Yeah.
Cut the belly out, and that way you just don't have to worry about, you know, it's more streamlined.
Yeah.
And then they come up there and just grab it, and it's no big deal. So
like that.
a little bit less plastic, but ultimately I caught my first fish on that. Caught some fish on a frog, and then last but not least, I caught him on a swim jig.
Yeah.
The swim jig was a huge player, just reeling the swim jig around. But the key was those fish were blowing up on shad.
Yep.
And I would see them blowing up on it, and I pitched in there, and I would just shake, and they would just whoosh, and then get it.
I'm getting
And I literally came from like 37th to like I was in 20th after the first period. Now the rest of the day, let's not talk about him.
I remember that.
The rest of the day, I don't want to talk about.
Hey, Jay Wills, he was 4 pounds behind me to start off, right? And I swear it wasn't an hour and a half in. Every once in a while, I check on my boy. You know, I'm like, hey, how's Jacob Wheeler doing? He's like, oh yeah, he's in 20th. I'm like, what? We ain't been fishing an hour and a half. So you caught him quick.
So quick, dude. It was phenomenal. And I thought, man, this is gonna be it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have an
juice.
opportunity, and you know, it just didn't work out. You know, and then that's when that's what came out. Oh, then I started throwing him some more with it. Oh, gosh dang, the buzzbait came out again.
You went down with the ship.
Oh, I
the
can't.
buzzbait, baby.
I'm going down with the ship, man. I went. Hey, we were talking about like swinging for fences. I hate that term, but
Yeah.
you know, I literally just stuck with what I know.
Yeah.
And stuck with the big guns, and I felt like that's a big fish bait no matter what. And
Well,
it just didn't. It did not pan out yesterday.
but if you'd have caught one 5-pounder, just one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we were
weight-wise
10
what that-
pounds back.
Were you 10 pounds back?
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
think-
just saying, it's, you know, a fish like that is such a game changer for so
Absolutely.
many different reasons. The momentum, you know, just everything associated with catching a fish that big.
Absolutely right.
It changes the whole day.
Well, that's the thing in this thing is like I feel like there's 2 ways to look at this format. So like one, you know, you look at Tharp. Tharp had a phenomenal week, you know, but he had a really good first day. But he had 6 bites, and he had 21 pounds or 22 pounds. Yesterday he had 2 bites all day, 2 4-somethings. Made the cut. Then you had guys that were catching some numbers, a lot of, you know, 1 3/4, 2 pound fish.
Yep.
So I think you have to sort of mix it up in between both of those things.
sure
You know,
you
there's a
do.
strategy involved with the format.
Yeah.
You know, we got whooped on this one.
Yeah, we did. That's all right,
But
though.
we got the next one's on Raleigh, in Raleigh, North Carolina, which, I mean, Falls Lake, we have Sharon Harris, and then Jordan. Yeah. So that whole deal looks pretty dang like
Pretty
a pretty
cool.
good
Yeah, I mean,
deal.
3 different lakes. That's going to be very interesting because that's going to really spread practice thin.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to pick and choose which lake you go check out.
It's a little bit different.
A lot of strategy will be involved in that one. So.
Yeah. So, guys, we really appreciate y'all watching. Mark, you know, whoop me again this week.
Hey, Jay Wills, hey. You know, my dog Jay Wills right here, you know, everybody know my man is bad to the bone on his water. And
But when
he been taking some L's from your boy lately.
unbelievable.
I told Brody earlier, I said, man, I ain't gonna mention that to him, Brody, because you know he gonna get mad and then he gonna drop like 176 pounds in the next dirt. So I said, no, I'm gonna leave him alone. But since you brought it up,
No, I agree. I was checking on you lightweight because I was like, man, I got to beat Mark.
the small victories, bro. Sometimes it be them small victories.
It's
So if I get to
absolutely.
whoop on a roommate, DC or Jay Woods, you know, that's a little piece.
I know.
that
It's
can
like,
take
hey,
with
look,
me.
I might have took an L, but I got you.
right. I didn't get paid this week, but
But
Neither did you.
Yeah.
And I got a few more points.
That's the truth. So, guys, we appreciate y'all watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button,
Yes,
and
sir.
comment and let us know, what you think. We always are looking. We're always reading through the comments, trying to understand what's going on and how we can make this better for you. You guys a better look at what's going on out here on tour.